Good morning, everybody. I'm Jessie Coffield. Welcome to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Network. 1 hour of DFS and sports betting advice coming your way, leading you up until kickoff at 1 p.m. But we have to start the show with one of the best Sunday traditions that we have here at DraftKings. Each week of the NFL season, we are making millionaires. That's right. Today is another shot for you to win $1 million. You can enter the NFL 4 Million Fantasy Millionaire Contest right now in the DraftKings lobby. It's a $20 entry fee that gets you a shot at the $1 million top prize. Plus, the winner will earn a seat to our DraftKings Tournament of Champions, the ultimate DFS contest for the best of the best in fantasy, which will take place in January, with the winner walking away with another $1 million and that sweet ring, okay? We have just an hour to lock, so go check out that contest now. We're going to be dishing out fantasy advice coming up throughout the show, but each week we start by taking a look at the DK Sportsbook, and that is where Emerson and our panel comes in. So I turn it over to my trusty co-host, Emerson Lotzia. Take it away.
They know it's coming. Jesse, make it rain, Coffield.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
TV zone.
Friend of the show.
Oh, my God. Yeah, over or under, what, like 25 times we see her on television today. Yep, I'm taking it. DraftKings contributor, Reed T. Fowler, Julian Edlow, Steve Buchanan, everybody. This segment is called Early Edge, when we get these guys' initial thoughts on their favorite bets of the day. Last week, congratulations, clean sweep, all wins, 3-0, guys. Reed, you were going with Tennessee. 4.5-point favorites there, yep. Let's see, Steve, you went with the Chargers.
Never a doubt, no problem.
Nope. And you had Buffalo last week as well.
That
Julius
was actually no doubt.
Okay, you're 4-1, Jules. You're 4-1 this season.
Should be 5-0. Missed
Yes.
the opening one.
We got a shoulda guy, Steve.
Indeed.
We got a
Okay.
shoulda guy.
Another team has pretty good record, ATS. That is the Chargers, 8-1 in their last 9 here. Reed, they are your favorite bet today. Why?
Yeah, Chargers plus 2.5 versus Baltimore. I mentioned this to Steve, too. I think the better quarterback is getting the points. Justin Herbert is getting the points. And that is, I think, what you want in this matchup. Look, Lamar Jackson is fantastic, right? What we saw on Monday, he's a guy that can change the entire landscape of a game. But if you look at the Chargers, what they've done, ATS, 2-0 so far, straight up 2-0 on the road. And look, the rest advantage does go to the Ravens side, but I do think when you have those pass catchers, Mike Williams is active. I do think, though, that he might not be as effective as he has been in the previous weeks. 13 touchdowns for Justin Herbert, 104.7 passer rating, 79% adjusted completion percentage, and 0.00 turnover-worthy plays.
That's good.
He's
for the last 2 games.
He's playing
amazing.
at an MVP level. Like there's no question about it. Do you believe the better quarterback is getting the points here? He is tied with Lamar Jackson for most game-winning drives and fourth quarter comebacks in the league, including last week.
Right.
Sure. I mean, probably the better long-term prospect. If you're looking at MVP odds, you have Lamar Jackson above Herbert right now, so some would say Jackson's having the better season. That's why I don't want to pick a side in this game. I think it's going to be a great game. But kind of like some
weak. You are weak.
I'm just saying. So I'm on the over in this one. If you want to play, it's not my best bet, but I am on the over. And again, it's a game where I think that it's a coin flip game. So I'm not going to take a side. It wouldn't be a best bet game for me. But the Chargers haven't done anything to make you think that they can't win this game. So they're getting points. I understand the logic.
All right. So the line's set at 2.5, almost around a field goal here, Steve. I think we realize this game is likely going to come down to who has the ball last, right? Do you want to pick a side?
I will pick a side.
Thank you so much.
I will be the hero that we need in this segment here. Put your phone down. We're talking about
on national television. Act like you've been there.
Here's what I
I'm
like.
like the Adam Schefter of DK Sportsbook.
All right, but here's the thing about this game. Like, getting the Chargers as underdogs in this one is a really appealing number at this spot here, a plus 2.5. What I like about this one is that we know the Ravens are going to want to run the ball in this game, right? The Chargers' run defense has been extremely poor. They've actually been one of the worst in the league. With that said, they're also going to be facing, this is the Ravens we're talking about, one of the best pass rushing teams in the league. We saw how much pressure Lamar Jackson was under over the past couple of weeks. Now he's facing one of those best teams that can do that this week as well with the Chargers, and it just feels like Justin Herbert can overcome anything at this point. He was one of my favorite rookies coming into the draft last year. He's performed well, continues to perform well. They have so many weapons at their disposal, like the emergence of Mike Williams and how much he's doing on the field, going deep downfield, really plays well into Keenan Keenan Allen too as well. Those two dual threats in there. Even Jared Cook's been doing some things over there as well. So this is a spot that I like a lot for the Chargers, getting him at +2.5 on the points. Love it to cover.
And Carson Wentz, I mean, the Ravens defense made Carson Wentz look better than average than what he's looked like on 2 bad ankles. Right, we also
the Chargers defense gave up 42 points at home to Baker Mayfield and his torn labrum.
I would argue that all of us think Cleveland's offense is better than the Colts right now, right? Especially with what they're able to do. Look, I understand that the Chargers and what Brandon Staley wants to do from a defensive perspective is to allow the run, because analytics say if you give up the run, you protect the pass. Look, 47-42 is not what you want to be in a shootout. At the same time, when Carson Wentz and the Colts look like a serviceable offense when they haven't been this entire year, that leads me to want to pick a team that actually is a good offense in the Chargers.
Well, yeah, the Chargers, Herbert had 5 total touchdowns against the Browns last week, and you like the Browns -3. And now they have the only undefeated team in the NFL to face today.
Yeah, I love that. I love this spot for the Browns, and a lot has changed over the week. And in the end, some negatives for Cleveland, but I like it more for Cleveland with this news. The public, the last I looked at the DK Sportsbook betting splits, 75% of the tickets are on Arizona, yet the money is very close to even. The larger, sharper bets are coming in on Cleveland in this game, and that is the spot that I want to be in. You have Arizona going on the road, 5-0, sure. Did they look that great against Trey Lance and the Niners last week? Meh. They're due, and Kyler Murray's a little bit dinged up. That's eventually going to catch up to him. Cleveland's got a good front line to kind of get after Kyler there. So Nick Chubb being out does hurt a little bit. Cleveland needs to run the ball to win this game, but I think it'll just mean a big game for Kareem Hunt and the rest of those Cleveland backs that will get sprinkled in. The big thing here, Cliff Kingsbury having COVID and not being able to coach in this game. He's not only the head coach, he's the offensive coordinator, so he is calling the plays. The next man up to call the plays, also out with COVID. I don't know who's going to call the offensive plays. Maybe it's even Kyler Murray for Arizona, but I love what that means for this Cleveland Browns defense at home, and I think that Cleveland has the recipe to run the ball in Arizona and win this game.
I mean, Steve, without Kingsbury calling the offense here, do you see this game being decided by more than a field goal?
I mean, honestly, this is so tough to say, because I think when you're looking at the overall landscape of what we've seen in the NFL through the first 6 weeks of the season, first 5 weeks of the season, this is the line that makes everyone look at and go, is this right? Like, is this actually what it's going to be? We have an undefeated team on the road as underdogs against the Cleveland Browns. Look, make no mistake about it. Like, we can joke about the Cleveland Browns, how they always seem to falter at the end of the year. They're a good team. But they're losing one of their biggest pieces in Nick Chubb. And don't forget, Kareem Hunt is coming into this game with not 1, but 2 injuries that he's dealing with, a wrist injury and a knee injury. So that's obviously a factor too. But with everything that's happened throughout the week, Nick Chubb being ruled out, Kingsbury ruled out, this line has stayed relatively the same. And that, I think, is a red flag if you're looking to bag the Arizona Cardinals in this spot. It's enticing to want to take this undefeated team on the spread to cover. You can use the Cardinals as a teaser, right, Julian? We like it.
Sticking with Cleveland.
Oh, come on. All right. But at the end of the day, I think that I've been really torn on this one. I think I'm probably going to be leaving this alone, but if you ask me to choose, I'd probably be siding with the Browns as well.
I mean, Sweet Tea Fowler, it doesn't hurt knowing that Cleveland's 2-5 ATS in their last 7 home games, too.
Yeah, and to Steve's point, what we see with the line not moving, we don't see, especially when these star running backs are out, we don't see the line moves that much, or the lines move that much, right? Saquon Barkley can be out, and the line doesn't really move. But when we see an offensive tackle, when we see a DN, a quarterback, or cornerback that's shut down, that's when we see those lines move. What you also got to worry about, guys, too, Kareem Hunt, these guys are on a short week at Cleveland Browns. They had to play on Thursday night at home against Denver. So, and we heard Stefanski, he kind of said we don't want to, really put Kareem Hunt out there to be hurt, because if he is, then they're like depending on a rookie and D'Ernest Johnson, who can be serviceable, but they're not Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. That's what scares me a little bit. But to your point, Julian, these guys, the offensive coach, we saw with the Saints in week 2, when all the offensive coaches were out. What happened in week 2 against Carolina with the Saints? They put up a complete stinker.
Yeah.
That's why you like that. Chandler Jones is also out, I believe, for Arizona. Helps Baker Mayfield a little bit. We saw Baker play really well last week, but we know he's had some troubles as well. Chandler Jones not in there. That's a big, big miss.
I will say really quick, I do like the little bit of the red flag there with the look-ahead spot on the short week, especially when you're dinged up. So if there's anything, maybe Cleveland takes their foot off the gas at home. At the same time, I mean, what did what did Tom Brady and the Bucs do to the Dolphins with the short week look ahead to the Eagles? They absolutely smashed them. So could be something, could not be.
Yeah. All right, Steve, you're not afraid to take a 6-point teaser today. This is your bet of the day.
We always take 6-point teasers. After my friend Julian introduced this to me years ago.
The Unreasonable Odds podcast invented the 6-point
This
teaser.
This is your thing too. He's stealing your style.
We sat there and thought, what can we name this bet? We came up with teaser. That's what we named it. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the Chiefs down to -0.5 a point. Because look, this is the worst cover team in the league right now. They have covered once over their past 10 games. So we barely need them to cover. We just need them to win, which is something that they can do, but not so much this year. But don't worry about that because they'll win here tonight or today. Then the Rams, you get them down from -9, get them down to -3. So just under, so the field goal there. That's your 6-point teaser at -120. Like I mentioned, the Chiefs have not been a team that have made you money against the spread. So we just need them to win here. Then we have the Rams, who have looked fantastic throughout the first 5 weeks of the season, and they're facing the Giants. I don't know, what is this, the B squad now? The C squad? Who's even playing for this team
Nobody
anymore?
knows,
Daniel
man.
Jones is in, but obviously he had the concussion the week before. Galladay is out. Barkley is out. We still don't know if Darius Slayton's going to be playing, so now we're going to be seeing so he's out officially?
I'll help you out.
Even more! The more guys are out.
Tony in, Slayton out, I
Tony
believe.
in, Slayton out.
I
Who's
told
even
you.
playing for this team? No problem. We're just going to have practice squad guys. John Ross, probably the wide receiver 1 on this team at this point. But love this teaser. -120. Teasers are the best. Teaser.
Although he mentioned, I mean, the Chiefs struggle to cover the spread, but
They don't have to.
You would
They
think,
just need to win.
Okay, so you would think then the Rams would be able to cover right after they dominated the Bears, Bucks, and Seahawks.
Yeah, so this is a game, again, just like Reed's best bet, I'm on the over in that game. I'm on the over in this game. Two of the worst, and Steve put me onto this one a little bit, just two of the worst scoring defenses in the league, so I'll give him a little bit of credit there.
Thanks.
Kansas City should win this game. Kansas City needs to bounce back and win this game, and if both defenses are bad, this is kind of the same logic that we used on the Eagles game against Kansas City. If both defenses are bad and you've got this Washington offense and this Kansas City offense, which one do you want? You want Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. So I like that. And then the Rams, by Daniel Jones being in for this game, this number's come down. This was up at double digits. Now we're looking at 7.5. I had the Rams off my radar for teasers all week. Now you can get them down to -1.5.
Even better.
I'm in on the Rams as a teaser piece for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs need this. Like Steve mentioned, both of these defenses too on their drives. 54% of drives Kansas City end in a score for their opponents, and that's the worst. 31st in the league is Washington Football Team at 52%. So this is going to be high scoring. To Julian's point, I like the over a little bit more in this one.
All right, that's early edge, dude. Appreciate you. But we are far from finished here on the sweat. We've got Steve and Reed. They're going to clash. They're going to turn up the heat with their Week 6 hot takes. He is calling you out already. All right, but first,
my take is too hot. I'll be sitting this segment out.
You've been doing so much. We're gonna
thank you.
We're gonna give you a little break here for
the teaser.
3 minutes of work that you've
look
done.
alike.
All right, guys. Pat Mayo has some DFS advice for us. He's gonna hand out right now, talking top stacks for everyone's lineups.
I'm Pat Mayo with your Week 6 DraftKings picks, the best stacks you can deploy in your lineups this week. And frankly, it's not going to be too much of a surprise. It's the Chiefs and Washington game. It has by far the highest projected point total. There are cheap options where you can still afford the very top end of the other positions if you make the salary cap work in your favor just a little bit. So it does appear to me like Heineke side over the Mahomes side will end up being probably the more popular option just because of the savings that it presents to you. And it seems very logical of what you can do. Heineke, Terry McLaurin at $7,100, Ricky Seals-Jones at $3,000. Easy stuff. Here's the thing. Who do you bring back, or do you just want to do the Kansas City side? Because the Kansas City side, way more expensive, but this is probably the cheapest you're going to see Travis Kelce in some time. $7,000 seems like a lot of money. But it's not for Travis Kelce. Like, that's a good value on Travis Kelce. Even if you run projections and look at points per dollar, Travis Kelce is still going to rate out amongst the best at the position. And we know his ceiling is so much higher. So the way that you might want to go with this is Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and a banged up Tyreek Hill. Make sure he's playing first, obviously, because it does seem like a lot of people are going to do Mahomes and Kelce and then go to McCole Hardman at the cheap price to save that money. Now, you can do that. You just have to understand that's going to be very popular, and it's flimsy because Hardman's either really good or really bad in games. And when like 15 to 20% of the field is on him, usually a good time to fade, especially if it means Tyreek Hill is going wildly under-owned. And we do see enough games where Kelsey and Hill go off in the same contest that having Mahomes with him just could be all of the points. And then on the bring back, it's Terry McLaurin. It could be Antonio Gibson. I prefer McLaurin. Maybe you want to save the money and use Ricky Seals-Jones. But I do think that the Kansas City side is weirdly the more contrarian side. It's by far the most expensive side, and it will probably not allow you to pay up at some of the other positions that you want to, whether it's a one-off at receiver or running back, but you can get creative with the salary. So Chiefs side of the stack is my preferred play if you can figure out the rest of your lineup, whether it's you use Darrell Henderson, whether it's you use Javonte Williams, Khalil Herbert, whatever it is to save some money, you can make it work. It's not that big of an issue. Now, regardless, the Chiefs side and the Washington side are both going to be extremely popular. So what's a secondary stack that we can go to in this spot? I think that the Ravens and Chargers, I mean, it's not shocking news to think that there's going to be a ton of points in that game, but figuring out how to deploy your guys in that game is a lot trickier than maybe you think. So Herbert's just not going to be super highly owned whatsoever because playing Lamar from the other side, you feel like, hey, you have all of your bases covered, and maybe you pair him with one of Marquise Brown or Mark Andrews, probably not both. Maybe you do want to do both, but Lamar is going to hit his upside, much like Jalen Hurts does or any rushing quarterback does by scoring touchdowns and rushing for a bunch of yards, which will take away the upside of some of the receivers, unless this game just goes completely bonkers and is like 45-40, which if you're stacking it, you're probably hoping for. So you can go to the other side of the ball. So you go Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen. It's expensive, but again, you can make expensive work this week. Or you can do Herbert, Keenan Allen, Jared Cook down at $3,200. And that is a way that you can get the salary saving. Now, this is a game where you can really overload if you want to, too. You can use Lamar on the other side, use Mark Andrews, or use Hollywood Brown because people perceive this to be a really bad matchup, but he's a target hog, and we don't know what the role of Rashad Bateman is going to be in his first game back. Is Miles Boykin really going to be used? Sammy Watkins is not going to play, so it does seem like the 10-plus target share for Marquise Brown is going to be there. So you use Lamar, you use Hollywood Brown, and then bring it back with Eckler or Jared Cook on the other side because Andrews is going to be incredibly popular in this spot, coming off a big nationally televised breakout game. Probably a good week to fade him if you're fading some ownership and still want to use Lamar. Those are the two big stacks that I like this week, the two games that you should be targeting, and just overload your lineups with guys from those games, and hopefully you can go print some money on DraftKings afterwards.
Thank you, Pat. It's now time to turn up the heat. Welcome to the part of the show where we get a little wild. Reed and Steve are standing by to debate some of the hottest takes for today's Week 6 slate. Follow or fade if you dare. Take it away, guys.
So, Steve.
Yes.
We got some hot takes here, and one in particular, mine, is going to hit. It's not necessarily one that is completely outlandish, but Travis Kelce, tight end number one for the last, decade or so, will be the leading scorer in all pass catchers, not just tight ends, but all pass catchers. You got a lot of good receivers on the slate right now, right? Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin's in a great spot. On the opposite side in that game, I think Tyreek Hill is active.
He is.
I actually think that helps a guy like Travis Kelce. And if you look at the Washington football team, especially in these matchups against tight ends, they've allowed at least 55 yards on average and 5 receptions to tight ends. We've seen Dawson Knox, 4 receptions, 80 yards, and a touchdown, 14.9 DK fantasy points. Jared Cook, a guy that you particularly like this week, 5 receptions, 56 yards. We talk about a guy like Travis Kelce, his bad games, 17.7 DK fantasy points. We saw a guy like Mark Andrews as a tight end, not necessarily in the same matchup, right? Go absolutely bonkers on Monday night. I think that's what you get with Travis Kelce. He hasn't been a guy who's reached that pinnacle yet, that 40, 50-point game. I think he does that against this Washington football team. Like we just mentioned, a lot of scoring. Tyreek Hill banged up. You probably want to use him as a decoy. What does that mean? 2 touchdowns for a guy like Travis Kelce, 150 yards, 10 catches for number 87.
So I was, sitting in my mansion, and I got the news that this was going to be your hot take for this week, and I started laughing. And, my wife walked in, and she goes, "What are you laughing at?" And I said, "Reed has this hot take that is just not going to happen at all, and it just amuses me that he's going on national television to give this type of advice." See, the problem with Reed's hot take here is that he says it's going to be with all receivers. It's like, okay, so who is nobody else playing on this slate? Because I see Devontae Adams on this slate. I see Cooper Kupp on this slate. I see, every other receiver on this slate. Now, look, Travis Kelce is going to do his job, okay? He's going to go out there, probably going to catch 6 or 7 passes, but he's not going to be the leading receiver on this entire slate. Davante Adams in an unbelievable spot here this week. Cooper Kupp in a great spot. DJ Moore, by the way, in a huge spot this week for the Panthers. He's not going to exceed all the points, all the yardage, all the catches that all of these guys are going to make. So I appreciate what Reed does, comes on television, cashes his checks, makes these takes, but it's just not something that's going to happen. What is going to happen, though, we're done with your take, okay?
1 second, though. I got a rebuttal to that, though. Like, okay, $7,000 on DK Wright. That is completely cheap for a guy like Travis Kelce, who's been priced for the first 4 weeks as a wide receiver one, right, in the 8,000 and above range. And now you have Travis Kelce at $7,000. And you mentioned it, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp. You mentioned Davante Adams. Chicago in his matchups last year, 46 yards and 61 yards receiving for Davante Adams. He's getting 1,000 targets a game. We know that. MVS has been in the lineup, and we know that Davante Adams has that upside. But Travis Kelce, this is scorch the earth Kansas City narrative against a terrible Washington football team defense. I get it. You have a mansion. You have a beautiful wife. I get it. That part was fun.
Okay, so what I will say real quickly is that Travis Kelce will lead all receivers with the name Travis Kelce on this slate, okay? That's where I will go there. My hot take for this one, T. Higgins, my guy, over on the Cincinnati Bengals. Over 100 receiving yards this week. I got to hide my pass here. Over 100 receiving yards this week for the Bengals. His average distance of target on the Bengals right now is 8.3. That is the second highest on the team besides Jamar Chase. So even though he's missed a couple of games here, he's still 24% of the team's targets on this team, which is third, but all of him with Chase and Boyd are all clumped together there, so he's still being very active, and that's with missing some games here too as well. Against the Lions, to opposing receivers, they're allowing an average of 11.6 yards per target to opposing wide receivers. That is not just the highest in the league, that is the highest in the league by almost a yard. The Lions just don't feel like covering opposing wide receivers. They just let them go downfield, and when they feel like tackling them to prevent them from scoring, that's when they get involved. At least that's what it feels like. Higgins has gone 60 yards. That's the most so far this season. He's going to double that, more than double that this week, 120. But if we get over 100, that's fine. That's a hot take that can happen. So give me some dumb reason why it won't happen.
Okay. So when Steve's in his mansion, right, he's sitting down in his chair. Maybe he's smoking a pipe, sitting by your fireplace.
No, the smoke is bad for you. Okay,
good. Great. That was a trick question. And he sees and he tells his wife, look, Travis Kelce might not hit this, fine, yada, yada. But here's my hot take.
Right.
This is T. Higgins over 100 yards.
Right.
And she laughs in your face.
No,
why? Because Cincinnati runs the second least plays on offense in the entire NFL.
Only takes one.
Only takes one. So 1 for 100. That's going to be T. Higgins' line. It's 1 catch for 100. That means they got to start what? On the negative 1 yard line? No, I get T. Higgins is in a great spot. Right, he's in a really good spot. Tyler Boyd is also in a great spot. We know Jamar Chase is that guy who's got 40-yard reception, 60-yard reception for touchdowns in his back pocket. He's too expensive on this slate, so I like the pivot to T. Higgins. But a guy that I like in this price range is Henry Ruggs for this exact thing. Against Denver, who struggles against speedy receivers. He's cheaper than T. Higgins. I get T. Higgins. He's averaging 5 receptions a game. That means he's got to average, to Steve's point, 25 yards a catch, or around there, 20 yards a catch, to hit that number. I don't think so.
Okay, Reed, I mean, you tried, but it doesn't mean that you succeeded here. But what we are going to talk about some success, my guy Emerson Lotzia talked to this player who had an insane hit last week in the NFL, a parlay that you dream about. This guy did it last week. Let's throw it to him and find out about this massive win.
All right, here on The Sweat, we love to talk about our big winners, whether they're taking down our weekly Millionaire contest or hitting a big bet on the DK Sportsbook. And check this out. In week five, we had one of our most dramatic and improbable victories of the season. So on Monday night, one bettor was a Baltimore victory away from hitting a 15-leg money line parlay. That's right. So every game up until Monday night had a hit. And guess what? He let it ride. One epic comeback from Lamar Jackson and the Ravens later. Paul Butterworth of Boise, Idaho, turned $25 into nearly 50 grand. And the living legend himself joining us right now. Paul, welcome to the show. A week later here, have you been able to wrap your mind around winning this insane parlay?
It's still pretty crazy. Especially with the way that game went on Monday night. It was an incredible roller coaster of emotions, to say the least.
And I know you're from Idaho, where sports gambling isn't even legal, so how'd you even place this bet?
Yeah, great question. So my girlfriend just graduated nursing school in Denver. So I was actually flying to Denver Friday night after work to pack up a U-Haul and drive her over. And we ended up getting delayed on the ramp at the Denver airport due to like an unruly passenger on another flight. So they couldn't back up that plane. So we're sitting on the ramp for 45 minutes, and my buddies are just like, "Hey, you can bet on sports here, so maybe we should give it a shot." So, yeah, I just had that downloaded the app, and I loaded I think $100 into my account. I just put 25 on this 15-game parlay, and I didn't really think about it that much.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
So you just like ripped through it. There wasn't a whole lot of thought going through all of these games.
There wasn't because we had just started getting ready to move again, and just looking at the picks going through. I'm just like, okay, you can't pick every favorite, right? You have to pick some upsets.
Yep.
So it just, Bears over the Raiders, like, sure, why not?
And then Sunday ends, Paul. Bills beat the Chiefs. You're 14 for 14. So describe to me the feelings you were feeling at that moment.
Ecstatic. 14 and 14. I went to bed after one or two whiskeys or more.
Yeah.
And feeling really good that I was going to walk away with about $30-some thousand. It was a great feeling Sunday night.
Yeah, it was like a crazy next 24 hours for you, because at that point, some people might hedge their bet in this scenario. So no matter what the outcome of the Monday night game, you walk away a winner. But again, the next 24 hours for you was anything but smooth. So rip through everything that tried standing in your way.
Yeah, smart people would hedge their bet immediately. So the issues I was running into, I was still in Idaho, and when DraftKings contacted me to actually cash me out, I had to be in Colorado. So the problem was I couldn't get to Colorado quick enough to make that happen. Also, it was Columbus Day, so it's a federal holiday, so I can't pull out cash as easily as I could have on a non-holiday. So I had to hit up friends who just happen to have cash in their gun safes or something, So, so I ended up taking cash and driving 2.5 hours down to the Jackpot, Nevada, this casino down there to hedge it as best I could. And the sportsbook was closed. So, so it's like, well, we're letting it ride.
Yeah.
It's Lamar Jackson in their favorite. So I'm still feeling okay, just not nearly as okay.
Yeah, because you could have gone to there's an electronic machine there you can use. That thing's not working either, right? So yeah,
that thing, it had a cash limit on it, and the limit was essentially hit.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a rough time, but I was still feeling pretty confident right up until the first drive of the Colts.
I was going to say, there's no way you're feeling that confident, right? When the Ravens are trailing by 19 points with 3 minutes to play in the third quarter, right? What are you thinking?
I was, going over life decisions and what an idiot. You're trying to blame your friends. Why didn't my friends talk me into going to Denver? So yeah, it was pretty bad there for a little bit, for most of it actually.
But it seems like you started panicking a little, but the Ravens did not. You had Rodrigo Blankenship of the Colts. He misses a game-winning kick. Lamar goes scorched earth. Baltimore wins, and so do you. $49,293. That's your victory. What was your reaction when it all went final?
So I gave my girlfriend a giant hug and kiss. She was there cheering me on the whole time. So I was telling people earlier that she was actually the big cheerleader the whole time, because anytime the Baltimore Ravens did anything positive, she was very excited, and I was just not. I was the pessimistic, nope, this isn't happening.
It was almost too good to be true.
Happen.
Right, and then you started apologizing to all your friends who you wanted to blame, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, before we get you out of here, what are you planning on doing with the cash?
So I actually reached out to the Colts and the Ravens. I do believe this is a blessing, and I'd like to share it as best I can. So I offered to pay $2,500 to Rodrigo Blankenship's charity of his choice, and one to Lamar Jackson or C.O. Campbell's choice. Whoever I can get a hold of. It's been tough getting a hold of anybody, but I at least want to do that. Then, hook my friends up with a cool experience or ride or something like that, and maybe take the girlfriend out to Hawaii or something.
It sounds like she deserves that after being
Definitely
there
does.
for you. And hopefully this interview can help get the word out there so the Colts and Ravens get back to you, man. But Paul Butterworth, congratulations. Way to ride it out. And thanks a lot for hanging out with us here at DraftKings.
I appreciate it, guys. Cheers.
What an incredible story. Thank you, Emerson, and thank you, Paul, for coming on and sharing that with us. All right, guys, we still have plenty more to come here on The Sweat. We're going to get you ready for that DFS main slate when we come back with a little game we like to call Put It on the Board. So there's going to be artwork. But first, here's our friend Gary Vaynerchuk to tell you about one of DK's newest podcasts.
Hey guys, it's Gary V. Make sure you tune in to DraftKings YouTube channel for Die Hard Dialogue, where each week we do a listener league, DFS, and give away some of my highly valuable football cards, and we boost one prop bet. Die Hard Dialogue, DraftKings YouTube channel. Hey guys, it's
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $1 on any NFL game and get $100 if any point is scored. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for millions when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code SWEAT.
Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings on Bally Sports Networks. This man right here, N Corner 25, is now $1 million richer after taking down Week 5's Millie Maker contest. Two guys scoring north of 40 points in Tom Brady and Devontae Adams. 4 other 30-point performances, including Mike Evans at just 5% ownership. Okay, we are now going to help all of you become $1 million richer in Week 6 because it is time for Put It on the Board. And for that, we welcome in DraftKings contributors Julian Edlow, Jeff Ulrich, and Pierce Dietrich. You guys know the drill. I'm going to give you a player on the Sunday main slate, and you will write down how many fantasy points you think they're going to score. Let's start with Lamar Jackson. Now, Jackson had the best passing game of his career on Monday Night Football in Week 5. He threw for 442 yards, 4 touchdowns against the Colts, en route to putting up 45.88 DK fantasy points. This week, he's in what's expected to be a high-scoring matchup against the Chargers. So what do we think? How many fantasy points is Lamar Jackson going to put up? Put it on the board. Let's go. I can't wait. Oh, okay, and you've revealed. You're ready. Okay, everyone's just ready. Reveal.
Born ready.
Jeff, let's start with you. No. Okay, we can't hear you, so let's start with Julian.
Fair enough. You should be able to hear me. Yeah, we're going 33.3 here. Threes are wild. High-scoring game. Lamar Jackson, dual threat. We just saw this defense give up 42 points at home to a meh Browns offense. I think that Jackson's going to get it done both ways here. He's really developed as a passer. The deep threat there to Hollywood Brown is going to be there. The intermittent stuff to Mark Andrews, and of course he's going to get it done with his legs, find his way to the end zone a couple of different ways probably. So I think Lamar gets over 30 here and keeps it rolling.
All right, Jeff, I'm told we have you.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure can.
Fantastic. Look, yeah, on the same page as Julian. I put him for 34.98 points, but realistically, you love this matchup with the Chargers. The Chargers are a team that pass the ball a lot, and they run a lot of plays. They're playing at a faster pace under Brandon Staley than I think people realize. Also not a very good rush defense, the last in terms of yards per carry against. It's a fast-paced game, more plays for Lamar against a weak rushing defense. You're probably going to see him exceed 30 points again on DraftKings.
Pierce, what do we think?
I'll go with 28 points. I think the Chargers defense a little bit better than these guys are giving them credit for. Also, the Ravens play a slower pace. Still think he's going to get there. Lamar just wills this team forward and picks up a bunch of points. Also, Rashad Bateman's going to be in this game, so that could add to some explosive plays from the Ravens side.
All right, guys, moving on. Darrell Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of the picture with that knee injury. Like, Williams could be in line for an increased workload, right? The veteran running back is expected to get the start against Washington, and at $4,900 in salary this week, he could be a nice value play for lineups. So how many fantasy points do we think he's going to have? Reveal. Okay, 10.4, 13. I can't read Jeff's. Pierce, talk to me.
You know, he played well last year in the AFC playoffs, substituting for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He'll probably have a good game here. Washington, though, has a pretty good run defense. Now, they might not be a good run defense. It's just everyone tends to pass on them. So I would imagine the Chiefs are going to pass on them as well. He can have a good game. It's just, does he find the end zone? I don't think so.
Jeff, I couldn't see your board, so tell me. Okay, 14.
Hear me. Now it's 14 there, and the glare. This is just, anyway.
Yeah, gotcha.
Darrell Williams is not an explosive back, right? I mean, he's not going to run for huge gains, but the Chiefs have a 32.0 implied team total here. They're playing Washington. There's going to be a ton of red zone opportunities. We saw Andy Reid inject Darrell Williams when he had Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the lineup, so I don't really see Darrell Williams not getting the red zone touches here. He's probably going to fall in the end zone once. That'll be enough to push him into the teens for fantasy points.
All right, Jules, BTS has been dropping his pen all over the studio. Show us your number again, Jules.
I have my pen. It's all in one piece right now.
All right.
My number is 10.4. I'm with the guys here. I could see this going either which way. He's going to have to get his touches, but this is going to be a game where the Chiefs are going to have to pass the ball. That's what they prefer to do. That's the way that they can get to these Washington corners. So I could see it going, in the 40-ish, 30-ish yard range with a touchdown, or I could see him, just getting the catches and getting the yards to get up there to 10.4. But I don't think it's going to be, like Jeff said, this isn't an explosive back. This isn't a guy that's going to rack up a huge total, so just playing it a little conservative here. But the volume will be there. He's clearly a value play that you might want to touch.
All right, guys, how about Jamar Chase? The Bengals receiver continued to make his case for Rookie of the Year with a 6-catch, 159-yard performance in Week 5 against Green Bay. Can he follow that up this week against the Lions? How many fantasy points are we thinking for Jamar Chase? And reveal. Oh, 35, Jeff. 25 for Pierce and 22.5 for Julian. So, Jeff, you think he's going to go off?
I love this spot for Jamar Chase. And I mean, first of all, I love this player right now. I mean, he's being used all over the formation for the Bengals. He's got 19 targets over the last 2 games. He is the real deal here. 5 touchdowns in his first 5 games, averaging like basically 20 yards per catch. The Lions are last in pretty much every defensive metric in terms of passing, receiving, whatever, last in yards per attempt, yards per play, they're second last. This is not a good secondary. Joe Burrow should have a little extra time here. Jamar Chase on a fast track. I think he's going to score multiple long touchdowns in this game. And if I think that, he's going for about 35 points. I think you're going to see a big day from Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
Jules, you don't exactly agree.
22.5 is pretty good. I think he's going to have a great day. Maybe I went a little light. I guess I have it as Chase catching 1 bomb touchdown, and Jeff has it at 2. He very well could do it twice. Lions, really good matchup pretty much in any way that you want to go here. Chase has gotten it done week after week with Joe Burrow, the college chemistry we all know about. So, I think Chase is going to have a very good game. Maybe I'm light here at 22.5. He's in my lineup, so I hope I'm light.
Pierce, you're in the middle of these two guys.
Yeah, let me throw out a couple more Detroit stats. Last year, they allowed the second most 20-plus yard passes. This year, they're in the bottom third, and Jamar Chase leads the NFL in 20-plus yard pass catches. He also leads the NFL in 40-yard receptions. I guess if Jeff's right, then he hits 2 of those big plays, and if Julian and I are right, he hits just 1 of those big plays.
All right, guys, how about Hunter Henry? New England's tight end has found the end zone in back-to-back weeks, right? Seems to be developing a good rapport with rookie quarterback Mac Jones. This week, he's taking on the Cowboys at home. Might we expect him to find the end zone again? What do we think, guys? How many fantasy points for Hunter Henry? Let's reveal. All right, 15 for Jeff. We got 8 for Pierce. Julian, 16.8. You have him taking in the most points.
Yeah, he's been getting it done. It took a while, but Mac Jones and Hunter Henry have gotten on the same page. New England spent a lot of money here at tight end. They might as well start to use these guys, and this is a matchup that dictates it. Dallas, not great against tight ends. They have the offense that the Patriots might have to play some catch-up here just to stay in the game. So I think that we see Hunter Henry pretty involved, and obviously with the 16.8, that would indicate that he gets into the end zone again.
All right, Pierce, what do we think?
He had his best game against a bad defense. The other games didn't really show up too much, and Mac Jones didn't force the ball down the field that much. So I don't think Mac Jones is going to make those deep passes again this week. And Dallas is a much better defense. I don't see it happening, even in garbage time.
All right, Jeff, talk to me.
Dallas is a much better defense. Pierce, they've allowed the most passing yards against per game in the league
DVOA.
so far. DVOA. Get out of here with these things that I don't understand. Anyways.
I'm with you, Jeff. Stats are for nerds. We all know that.
Over the last 3 games, Hunter Henry is up to 6.2 targets per game. That's very good. He's also averaging over 10 yards per catch, which is actually a very, very big gap between him and Jonnu Smith. Julian is right. He's improved. His usage has improved. He's more of a downfield threat. And I think this is a good matchup. Teams pass the ball like over 38 times against Dallas. The pass attempts are going to be there. I think you'll see more downfield passing from Mac Jones in this game. I'd really like Hunter Henry. And again, if he does find the end zone, my 15 will come through. If not, he'll probably be in the more of the 10 to 12 range.
All right, thanks you 3. Now, all of you who are watching, go put that knowledge to the test in this week's featured Millionaire contest. The total prize pool for the Week 6 contest is $4 million with that $1 million top prize. And of course, the winner gets that entry into our Tournament of Champions live final, which is another shot at $1 million. All right, let's send it over to Emerson Lotzia for a deeper dive into some Week 6 betting angles.
All right, I'm so excited now to introduce you guys to my friend, the radiant and reliable Ross Tucker. So let's go ahead here, dude, and rewind to last Monday night, a historic and special performance by Lamar Jackson. We're talking 86% completion percentage, his passing yards like 442, a 19-point comeback, 4 touchdowns, including a walk-off strike in overtime against the Colts. I know we're living in the past here, but the Ravens riding his arm, not legs. When should that argument that Lamar is just a running quarterback be put to bed?
Well, first of all, Emerson, I got a new light here, so I appreciate you noticing, and I like the alliteration. Radiant, reliable Ross. I'll take it. But thank you for I like when you notice things. It shows that you care, Emerson. I would also say this. I think the argument's over now. I mean, at this point, with what Lamar Jackson has done throwing the ball this year, and I got to tell you, man, I'm stunned. You know, he never threw it this well before this year on a consistent basis. He's been very consistent this year. And remember, he missed the first 10 days of training camp because he's on the COVID list, and all of his wide receivers were hurt, almost all of training camp. So I thought, when are they going to work on this? When are they going to improve? Evidently, it just happened organically because the numbers he's been putting up are ridiculous. That said, and I know that the argument should go away, he's still going to have to do it 3 games in a row in January in the postseason. And when he does that, then everybody will just have to shut up forever.
I mean, he's must-see TV. He's been looked at that really since he entered the league. In Baltimore now has played 5 games, Ross, like 4 of which have been decided in the final seconds. Ravens are favored at home against the Chargers this weekend. Who do you think covers?
You know, I'm going Chargers, and I'll tell you why. If you remember earlier this season, I called that Chiefs-Ravens game. Huge game for the Ravens. They came from behind. They knocked off the Chiefs, blah, blah, blah. That next week out against Detroit, they should have lost that game. I mean, they were not at the same level, and they were fortunate that Justin Tucker set the all-time record by making that kick. This is a prime letdown spot for the Ravens after a Monday night overtime game against the obviously the Colts. Now they got the Chargers coming to town, who are really good.
Yeah.
I'll take Justin Herbert, the Bolts, and the points.
I mean, Chargers scored 26 points in the fourth quarter last weekend, too. And you had Herbert almost 400 yards passing. He had 5 total touchdowns. So one better than Lamar Jackson there. And 8-1 ATS, the Chargers are, over their last 9 games. So the Ravens here, Ross, are trying to win 5 in a row. That's something the Cardinals have done to open the season. However, they find themselves as underdogs in Cleveland, where the Browns haven't lost this year. So who do you like to come out on top?
You know, if I had to pick straight up money line who's going to win the game, I would go to the Cleveland Browns. But if you're going to give me the points with the way the Arizona Cardinals have played, I know they didn't play great against the 49ers. Here's the thing. They still won. Now, I kind of feel like, look, I know the way the NFL works, Emerson. Arizona's undefeated. That's not going to last forever. The Browns are coming off a loss. They're probably not going to win 2 in a row. So I think the Browns win the game, but I don't know that. I think it's a close game, so I'll take Arizona in the points.
Okay, well, we have another intriguing matchup here this week. It features 2 teams that you played for in your NFL career. You got the Cowboys, you got the Patriots. Houston's Davis Mills threw for 3 touchdowns against the Pats secondary last weekend, which should have Dak Prescott, right, like salivating about his trip to Foxborough, where New England has not won this season. Does Bill Belichick pull this thing off, or does Big D keep rolling?
Well, listen, it's pretty clear based on the last couple weeks, Emerson, that Davis Mills is better than Tom Brady, as we all have known and suspected for years, based on how they performed against the Patriots. I'm kidding.
No, you're not.
Nobody be tweeting that or saying that to anybody. It's a joke. However, I'm going to take the Patriots and the points here. I know the Cowboys are 5-0 against the spread this year. I know they're on fire. But remember this, that Giants game was tie until Daniel Jones got concussed and got knocked out of the game. As well as the Cowboys have been playing, it just seems like Bill Belichick always has something up his sleeve. So you're going to give me more than a field goal, I'm going to take the Patriots and the points.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the 5-0 against the spread, only ATS squad 5-0 this year in the NFL. What's another spread that you have your eyes on?
Well, there's a few, but I'm going to roll with my former teammate Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. They are due, man. I mean, think about the Ravens game. Think about the Vikings game. They are due. Now, they're playing at home against the Bengals team, coming off that game where they tried to make a statement, got so close to beating the Packers, and people talking about the Bengals like they're a legit contender, all that. Nope. I said earlier, the Cardinals are due for a loss. Well, guess what? The Detroit Lions and the emotional one, Dan Campbell, they are due for a win. I think they got a great chance to get it. Even if they lose, it's a close game. Take Detroit and the points.
Yeah, both those teams, too, losing in heartbreaking fashion last weekend. How about a favorite game total of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs and Washington. I know the number's really high, and I know all the professional guys would say you can't bet it over that high. Neither one of these teams can play a lick of defense. I mean, the only thing that really stops these teams is when they turn it over. Heineke throwing interceptions or Mahomes. Other than that, I think these teams are going to go back and forth scoring all day. I'll go over on the Chiefs and the football team.
Let's head over to the fantasy side of this Sunday main slate. Give me someone who's going to absolutely go off for people today. Come on.
So there's this guy for the Ravens named Lamar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going Lamar Jackson. Okay?
I was like, hey, we've come full circle.
Here's who I'm going to really give you. Kadarius Toney. Dude, did you see him last week against the Cowboys?
Yes.
I know Dante Hall already has the nickname the human joystick, but Kadarius Toney is the new human joystick. The dude is electric. Plus, all the Giant skill guys are hurt. No Saquon, no Galladay. They have to feed Kadarius Toney. Get Toney in your lineups. Trust me. You can thank me next week.
We love you. We mean it. We've still got more to come here, though, everybody, on the Sweat. We'll get Jeff and Pierce's picks for the primetime games and final thoughts on the Week 6 slate from our panel, so please stick around. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and today, new customers can bet $1 on any NFL game and get $100 if any point is scored. Plus, new fantasy players can play free for millions when you make your first deposit. Just download any of the apps and use promo code SWEAT.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jessie Coffield. Welcome back. I'm joined by DraftKings contributor Pierce Dietrich and Jeff Ulrich, and I need your primetime picks, fellas. I need your picks for the Sunday night and Monday night football games. So let's start with Seattle-Pittsburgh. I need your favorite DFS play here, Jeff.
I love Chase Claypool in this matchup. Obviously, Juju Smith-Schuster is out. More targets for Chase Claypool. Going up against a bad Seattle defense. Not really getting pressure here. Claypool, Ben Roethlisberger should have time in this matchup. For DFS, for showdown purposes, you're saving a ton of money by going down, putting Claypool on your captain.
Pierce, what's your favorite DFS play in this one?
Najee Harris, big game last week, and we know he's a great receiving running back. Seattle's been terrible against receiving running backs. They've allowed 33 receptions for over 300 yards.
All right, how about your favorite bet in the Seattle-Pittsburgh game, Jeff?
I love going over on Ben Roethlisberger's passing totals, 257.5 right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, Seattle, one of the worst defenses against the pass in terms of pretty much every metrics. 4 of the last 5 QBs they've faced have gone over 300 yards. I think Ben's going to have time to throw here, and he's probably going to pick apart this defense.
All right, Pierce.
Najee Harris, over 34.5 receiving yards. Didn't have a big game through the air last week. That's because the Broncos are number 1 against receiving running backs. They have a good pass rush. They had to stay home and block. The opposite will be true in this game against Seattle.
All right, to Monday Night Football we go. Buffalo at Tennessee. What's your favorite DFS play in this one, Jeff?
Steph Diggs, 14.4 in the captain spot, only the 4th most expensive play on this slate. Tennessee's pass defense is bad as well. They're 5th last in yards per attempt. They've allowed 8 touchdowns to the wide receiver position. Steph Diggs, only 1 touchdown on the year, due for positive regression. Love him as a captain's play.
Pierce, where are you going?
Don't overthink it. You got to play Josh Allen. If you're going to play somebody with him, how about Cole Beasley? Tennessee has struggled against slot receivers.
All right, Jeff, favorite bet in this one?
Steph Diggs to score a touchdown. I mentioned it. This guy is due for positive regression. He's had 6 or more touchdowns in each of the last 4 seasons. Tennessee's already given up 8 touchdowns to the position. Plus 100 on the DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, Pierce, where are you going?
Bills and lay the points. The sports books are just not giving these guys credit. But if you look at where the money's going, you look at where the public's going, they're hammering Buffalo again. And Buffalo is covering spreads with ease every single week.
All right, thanks, guys. You two are free to go, so we've covered a lot. We're creeping up to kickoff at 1 p.m., but maybe there's some stuff that you're rethinking right now, maybe some stuff that you're sweating. To take it away on that, I will hand it over to the Prince of Perspiration, Emerson Lotzia.
Oh, my God. Every week.
Every week.
Nice. All right, we got a lot to get to, and we have 4 minutes. I am all worked up right now, and we have 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Very
friendly reminder, that means we have 4 minutes for all of you watching to get into the Millie Maker right now in the DraftKings lobby. Just $20, you can win $1 million. It's pretty cool.
Good deal.
Okay, so any last-minute decisions you're rethinking right now?
The Arizona Cardinals. Julian laid out why we potentially want to fade them with all of the offensive woes that they potentially will have with their coaches, their play callers. Kyler Murray was perfect in that sandwich between Lamar and Mahomes. And if you look at Cleveland, they've given up a lot of points to alpha receivers. So DeAndre Hopkins was also in a good spot. But since all of that
What are we
news,
rethinking?
I'm rethinking like not playing Cardinals. I think earlier in the week when you wanted to play the Cardinals because of their pricing. Hey, geez, he's very angry. Everybody, he did not have the Jaguars.
He is the Bengal guy.
He did not have the Jaguars.
Oh yeah, Jaguars by the way.
Dolphins lost after a 6-1.
Anyway, rethinking putting in Cardinals in my lineup.
Go ahead. Would you like it?
We don't have time for me to rethink anything, so no, everything
I
I
love
said today
that.
is correct.
You are perfect.
The Jaguars losing was wrong. Everything else the rest of the day that's my one out. Everything else is going to be right.
I just want everyone to know that 12-5 still on the table for the Jaguars after they win in London. Hey, congratulations, Trevor Lawrence, your first win coming in London. Steven, anything you're rethinking? We're trying to work up a sweat here.
Yeah, just real quickly here. Just worry about Kareem Hunt's your ownership on him this week. Obviously, he's the bell cow in this lineup this week, but 2 different injuries that he's dealing with, and the rumor of a snap count for him. Just something to think about. He's going to be very, very popular this week.
All right, well that's a perfect segue right now because we're going to go to Make It Rain. We got less than 3 minutes now in the show, and his pick today, the pick that is going to make it rain cash for everyone at home building their DraftKings lineup, is Kareem Hunt.
For a 2.5-minute diatribe here.
Please follow Steve's advice and be afraid to play Kareem Hunt. I will eat the chalk on Kareem Hunt. Last week we ate the chalk on Derrick Henry with my Make It Rain pick. It worked very well. Nice of Steve to join me here in my one shot.
That's called a 2-shot.
Yeah, the 2-shot
Sure.
now, dummy.
Kareem Hunt, look, 10 carries, 81 yards against Chicago, 14 for 69 the next week, 12 for 61. Like, he's getting 5.5 yards a pop, and if he doesn't get more dinged up in this game, which I hope he doesn't, the workload is going to be there.
Yep.
I love Kareem Hunt. I don't mind the ownership. This is just where I'm starting because I think a huge day is here. He's also had a game with 6 receptions for 71 yards. The receiving bonuses that you can add on there. Hunt's going to have a huge game just like Derrick Henry had a huge game last week.
Okay, you're going to L.A. for yours.
Yeah, Matt Stafford. I'm not worried that the Rams are huge favorites in this game. I think that Matt Stafford is still going to get the points done in this one. The Giants have been one of the worst secondaries in the league. Really bad against opposing quarterbacks. 23.7 average DraftKings fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks.
And that was, he's also placed with the team that was part of your earlier bet, your
That's
go-to
right.
bet.
All full circle.
And my bet is the Browns.
I love that.
It's tying in today.
And ask you, Jules.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
all
I am piggybacking off of Steve's one part of his teaser, Kansas City. Travis Kelce is $7,000, guys. This is the cheapest this guy has been all season. He's priced. You got to treat him like a receiver. He's priced by DJ Moore, who Steve apparently likes. Not a bad play. Terry McLaurin and Jamar Chase. So you have to start baking in Travis Kelce's price tag as a receiver, and I'd much rather play Travis Kelce in this spot over those receivers. Like you didn't go double tight end set in the main slate.
I have to sit out the hot take segment, and I'm forcing my way in. Travis Kelce isn't the high-scoring tight end in his own game. Ricky Seals-Jones.
All right,
Hot takes. Let's go.
Hot takes.
Finally earning his paycheck.
About 45 seconds to go. Anybody else have any extra hot takes they want to drop on the people before we wrap up?
Thanks for watching. Here's your hot take.
Okay, that's not a hot take.
What about Donald Parham? Little XFL star making reports coming out that Parham's getting more snaps in the Chargers.
Super.
No. Just throwing it out there.
No.
Just
touchdown to Parham.
One more time again. Congratulations to the Jaguars for picking up the first win today. Really big stuff. Everyone in the studio was very excited.
Yep.
I can't believe the Patriots lost to the Dolphins.
Wow.
And the Jaguars and the Patriots clash in Week 17.
So by transitive property, yeah.
All right, we got to go. Thanks everyone for hanging out with us, and enjoy all the football today.